talking about. So if you're talking about like AI, artificial intelligence, then you would be looking at what has been talked about in the past about artificial intelligence. You would summarize everything and then critique all of the articles that you have gathered. You usually draw conclusions about the topic through a literature review. You identify the gaps and inconsistencies in the literature. So if there's anything missing that you want to talk about, you kind of state that. It really requires a focused research question. So just like with a systematic review, you really need to have one that is clear and concise of what you're looking at and what you're trying to discover. A literature review shows command of the subject area and an understanding of the problem. So you're going to be reading a lot of articles about this specific subject that you're looking at, so that you can show you understand what's going on, you know the subject area, and are willing to or able to talk about it. It also can bring the reader up to date with current literature on the topic. So again, with AI, if you're talking about AI, then you would want to not only include things of the past, but also things that are being looked at right now within AI. And then, of course, you have to have justification for research, future research in the area. So if everything's been discovered about it, why are you writing a literature review on something that everything's already been talked about? So you need to justify why, not only why you're writing it, but also why future research should happen. So getting into a systematic literature review, the differences. So one of the main differences is that you have really a more rigid or rigorous and well-defined method, and it's described in detail. And that's something to really focus on, because as we'll get into with this presentation, the description and the detail is really important when it comes to writing a systematic literature review. And to go further into that, you detail the time frame within which the literature was selected. So again, if you're looking at AI, maybe you're looking at the future of AI. So you would want something that's probably like 2018 further. You don't really want to go too far back, but you're going to say that in your systematic literature review, saying specifically, I looked at literature from 2018, January of 2018 to January of 2023. And then that gives the readers understanding of where you're coming from and where this literature is looking, what this literature is looking at. It details the methods used to evaluate and synthesize findings of the primary research studies in question. And so basically what that means is you're describing how you actually searched for the literature that you're looking at. So with the detail of the time frame, January 2018 to January 2023, you're going to say something like, I searched this database, I used this search string, so AI and whatever else you're looking at. I used these narrowers to help with my findings, and then you're going to basically replicate that in any other database that you're searching. So one of the big things about systematic literature reviews is the ability to replicate your search. So if somebody were to read your article, they would be able to go to the database that you looked at and replicate the search exactly. Now, one of the good things about systematic literature reviews is that there is a really good checklist that you can use. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on this checklist and bring it up real quick. Hopefully you can see this. So if we go over to, this is our research guide on Rayyan. And so if you go over to Prisma, it'll actually show you the flow diagram for a systematic literature review. So you've got over here the identification, so records identified from the databases, and then stating what you removed and why you removed it. So duplicate records removed, records marked ineligible are removed, and then you go on from that. So you go to records screened, so the ones that you've looked at, and then what you've excluded. And so this kind of goes into how you could do your Prisma, your systematic literature review. There's also, so this is the flow diagram. There's also this checklist here. And I'll go ahead and pull that up so that you can kind of see what it looks like. Let's see if it, oh, it opened in another window. Okay. So let me zoom in just a little bit for you guys. So over here, it talks about the sections and topics of what you'll go into, and then the checklist of what you're doing. And then here you can say, you know, you could do it however you want. You could say like, yes, I did an introduction, so put an X there. Or it says location where item is reported. So you can put like page 1, page 3. Now, just like with a literature review, some of these things you're probably not going to have. Or you're going to kind of move them around in how you use them. So the checklist is not very, it's not like a strict, you have to follow this. It's something to help guide you. So don't get discouraged when you see, you know, if I scroll down, you see a lot of things. You know, some of these things you're not going to be using and some of them you're going to be using. So let me go ahead and get out of that. Okay, so now that we kind of have down what a systematic literature review is, let's go ahead and look at the plan for the systematic literature review. So these are all questions that you should be asking yourself while you're doing it. So where will you search? Again, the details, the replication, where are you going to be searching? Which databases are you using? The time frame, the years included, keywords, subject terms, and what will you not be searching? So if you're looking at AI and you're looking specifically at computer AI, then you would want to exclude things that are like robots or you know, anything that is not related to computer-based AI. So that is something, again, that you're going to have to put in your systematic literature review. Again, and I'll emphasize this throughout the thing, it's all about replication. So now let's look at the article and, you know, is this the article for you? So the basic steps in looking for articles and, you know, finding things for your systematic literature review is, of course, first you've got to identify your research question. And like stated at the beginning, your research question should be not so narrow that you're not going to find anything, but not so broad that you're going to find loads and loads of stuff. So you want a kind of clear, concise research question. Then you're going to think of the databases that you're going to search. So if it's something with science, which a lot of systematic reviews are science-based right now, you're going to look at the science databases. So PubMed, Med, Web of Science, Scopus, Science Direct, and you're going to have to state, you know, why you search these specific databases. And then, of course, you're going to get a lot of results. And that's perfectly fine. What you're going to do next is you're going to be filtering it. So here we are at the National Library of Medicine and PubMed, and we are looking for diabetes and obesity. And you can see that there are 75,000 results here. That's a lot of results. You don't want to go through 75,000. So what we can do over here is we have these filters. And on different databases, it'll say different things. Like I think on ours, it says like refine results or narrow results. But they're all basically the same thing. They're filters to be able to get this number down to a manageable number. So of course, you're going to go by year. Like I stated at the beginning, you're going to want to say specifically what years you're looking at. You can go by what kind of text is available. You can go by article type. So are you looking at clinical trials? Are you looking at conference proceedings? If you're not, then you're going to have to state specifically that you put those out. Those are not searchable for you. And so once you've narrowed everything down and you have your search string, so that's going to be what you put in the search box, including, you know, the years and stuff like that, then you can go over to Rayyan. And this is where Rayyan really comes to help you, especially if you have thousands and thousands of articles that you're trying to go through and synthesize. So when you get into Rayyan, you have authors or teams that you can create, and you can maintain them over time. You can get suggestions for articles to include and exclude. And that's kind of one of the cool things about Rayyan, is that it has an AI that after you've made a specific amount of decisions, so keep or don't keep, include or exclude, it will automatically go through your whole list of articles and say whether or not they think that this article would be a good fit for what you're doing. And Cynthia will show you how to do that. So it quickly screens the articles. It detects duplicates, which is really great. You know, if you're doing searches across a couple different databases, I know PubMed, Web of Science, and Science Direct, they have crossover. So you don't want to have the same article in there and then you just forget, because you're looking through a lot of articles, you just forget that this is, oh, this sounds like a really good article. Oh, this sounds like a really good article. So it will detect the duplicates and it will delete them for you. So it uses visual cues to kind of help in the screening. So over on the side, you'll be able to narrow it down by different filters, just like in a database. And of course, it uses the AI or machine learning for recommendations of whether you should include an article, whether you should exclude an article. And it's really supportive of collaboration. That's one of the other great things about Rayyan, is that you can have as many authors on a project as you want, and you can see specifically who is doing what within Rayyan. And of course, Cynthia will be able to show that to you once we get into the demonstration part. So the steps to actually using Rayyan, just to kind of go over it and give you kind of a visual of what we're doing. So first, you're going to want it to detect your duplicates. You don't want to constantly be going through articles and seeing the same one over and over again. It kind of is a waste of time and energy that you're going to be putting in. So Rayyan will get rid of those duplicates. And then you're going to start screening to include or exclude different things. And for this, you can use the filter menu. You can use reasons. So it has ways that you can kind of tag things with different reasons, and you can tag them with different labels. So with obesity, say you're looking at a specific age range. So if you're looking at 50 plus, then you could have a tag for 50 plus or under 50, and then you can have an exclusion reason for that. So exclude because it, talks about people under 50. And then, of course, as I stated before, the ratings. So only after you've made 50 decisions is the AI going to work for you. So you've got to first go through 50 different papers and say whether you want to include or exclude it, and then you can hit to where it goes through and it automatically rates things for you. So that's kind of one of the only drawbacks, is you do have to do a little bit of work before it works for you. Okay, so going into Rayyan, let me see if I can copy this. Oh, nope. I'm sure, Cynthia, if you could put the link for Rayyan, the sign up.
Yeah, let me drop that in there. Hold on just a second.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries. So you can sign up for Rayyan completely for free. And you're going to need, awesome, thank you, Cynthia. You're going to need a confirmation emails, and that could take up to 24 hours. So just be aware that if you haven't signed up for it yet, you may not be able to get into it and use it while we're doing the demonstration. But if you are able to get into it later and you run into any kind of roadblocks, you can always contact Cynthia or myself with questions. Now, okay, so this is kind of what the home screen looks like. Once you've logged in, it'll say sign in successfully, and you're going to see this kind of toolbar. And so it's going to have your reviews, collaboration reviews. So those are things that you're on reviewing with other people. You've got translation only reviews, which I've never used before. That's just kind of a tab that I don't use, but you've also got this cool tab called other reviews, and those are reviews that are kind of like example reviews. So you can kind of see what people who use this kind of professionally have done with their different reviews. When you get in there, this is kind of what the working dashboard looks like. So it can be a lot when you first kind of see it, there's a lot of colors, there's a lot of highlights, but just to kind of see what it looks like, here you've got your articles that you have imported. So you can import from anywhere. I highly recommend using one of the citation managers, so like EndNote, Mendeley, Zotero, and then exporting that into Rayyan, or you can do it straight from the databases. You can download the RIS file and then import it into Rayyan. So you've got multiple ways that you can kind of get your articles into it. Over here, you've got your inclusion decisions. So you'll see undecided, maybe, included, excluded. So at the very beginning, all of your articles are going to be undecided. And then what you're going to go through is you can see here, Cynthia has included is the green. So she's included these articles, and then she's excluded this one article here. You also have to where you've got the search methods, you've got keywords for include and then keywords for exclude. So this is where your searching and narrowing is going to come in handy. Rayyan will automatically have keywords for include and keywords for exclude. And what you can do is you can go through and you'll see these little trash cans. You can delete all the ones that it recommends, and then you can put in your own. So again, if you're looking for diabetes information and you're only looking for seniors, I guess that would be 50 and up or 60 and up, then you could have that as one of your keywords for include, and then keywords for exclude would be like ages under 50 or something like that. You've also got this cool little word cloud over here that talks about the different topics. So if you're looking specifically for things within adult, you can click that adult, and it will narrow down all of the articles here that talk about adults or have adults as a keyword. So going back to where you can get your articles imported from, this is what it looks like when you hit import. So you've got here, you've got where you can select files, and then over here it has migration guides, which are really handy. So you can automatically import from EndNote, and that tells you how to do that. Here's one for Mendeley. If you use Excel, you can do it from there. PubMed, ScienceDirect, Web of Science. So really you can use anything to kind of get your files in. And what you'll do is you'll select the file, and usually it's this RefMan RIS file that you're going to be selecting, and then you'll upload from there. And this is kind of what it looks like when you first upload. So you have no decisions. You can see it's different from the other one because there's no highlights, there's no green or red or anything like that. So we've got 650 new articles. And over here, you can see it's different as well because undecided, there are 4,200 articles that are undecided. So no decisions have been made, which means that you cannot go over here to computer ratings and have it automatically rate articles for you. And this is where the 50 decisions comes in. So, you've got, when you hit it and you don't have 50 decisions made, it'll tell you, ratings requires this many decisions made. So over here, we have unresolved 129, and we've really only made a couple of decisions here. So we've excluded 7, or this is possible duplicate, sorry. So the inclusion decisions, we've excluded 7, but we've got 9988 left. So once you make that 50 decisions, it'll go ahead and use the AI for you. So any questions right now while we are in kind of just the description of it before Cynthia kind of goes in and shows us a demonstration of it? I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
There was a little bit of chit chat, and I don't know if everybody saw that, but Laura was so great to ask about how do we report this to the graduate school, and I dropped in some links there, and I really think you just need this one where it will tell you the award tracker, because I think if you're really trying to track this for, I think it's travel funds that you're wanting to get 2 or 3, or I don't know how many you have to have that if you use that award tracker link that I just put in there again and report that you attended this, that would be great. Also, there is a list of all the events, not just what the library offers, but anything that qualifies for the graduate school, and you could kind of scan through there if you wanted to. And I just put, that's the second link that I just put in there. But I just wanted to say thanks so much to Laura to remind us to put that in there. I totally forgot, so good job, Laura. Okay. Okay, so there is a question here. What is the difference between Mendeley and Rayyan? So Mendeley and EndNote and Zotero are all citation management tools. They really help you organize your citations and help you write in Word, and then we'll put the citation in there for you in whatever style you're using, be that APA, MLA, or Harvard, or whatever your school field actually uses. There's one in chemistry, I think it's CSB or something like that. I don't ever use it, so I don't know it very well, but that is the difference. Mendeley is one of those kinds of tools. Rayyan is really helping you get set up to do a systematic review. So if you think you're going to be doing a systematic review and you would like this tool to help you organize that, and that definition, as Jenny kind of told us just now, is that you will really be looking at literature as the meat of your paper, if you will, is kind of the main concept. You're looking at all the literature that has already been done on a specific topic. So in a literature review for a regular paper, you may have 20 to 50 citations, however many, but in a systematic review, you really will have a lot. And so that's where you will bring that information into Rayyan, and you can kind of do the chart that Jenny was talking about with Prisma, like we're going to include this, we're going to exclude that. You make all those decisions before. And so that's the difference of what these tools are like. And the AI will help you after you made the 50 decisions. It'll help you narrow down what you should include and what you shouldn't include. And we can kind of see that in the tool itself. So let's go ahead and get myself sharing. Okay, good. I'm glad that helped, Stella. Let me see if I can find myself there. I think I will share this screen, but give me a second to get myself organized because I don't want to be just in one window. I'm gonna move this over here. Okay, so I have actually signed in. Let me sign out and then I'll get on that page. I just used the link that was on there, or you can even Google Rayyan. It's out of Qatar, the country in the Middle East. And so that's why we have a little bit of trouble pronouncing it, because I think I say it with a Texas accent instead of appropriately. And so I'm just going to sign in. Now, if I have not set up an account before, I want to use since I do have it and it's already signed in, let's see, I think it's getting started. They've moved things around just a minute, but since I'm logged in, I don't think I'm going to get to see that. Let me see if I can sign out. I thought I did. And then, oh, here's the screen. So you would land here maybe, and then you would want to sign up if you haven't signed in. So go ahead and get that set up. I'll go ahead and sign in again and get ourselves going. I'm going to give you all a minute to do that if you want. Oh, what is this password? Yes. Too many passwords we have to keep up in our heads. And when you first land in here, you should be on a screen that looks very similar to this, but they'll all have zeros except for this last one. And there will be nothing here but a new review. And so I'm going to kind of wait and see if y'all have any questions about how to get in there. I want everybody to kind of be in there together for a second before we get going too far. I might just kind of poke around on some of the things that Jenny kind of highlighted for us while y'all are getting that set up, but I don't want to get too far down the road without you being able to get in. It doesn't usually take too long, but it does send you an email, and you have to verify your email the first time you sign up. So let's kind of talk about some of these. These are the things that we'll be looking at today, the reviews that I've kind of set up for us to use. I can show all my archived reviews. I can create a new review here. The collaboration reviews, that would be something somebody shared with me, not something I've shared. I do have one, and we can kind of look at that real quick. I'll just click on this one because we'll see that Jenny is shared here. And so she can see what I'm seeing here. But we do have the blind on, and you can, once you've added somebody with you in a collaborator role, you have this option to either turn the blind on or off. And so I can say, okay, and it will turn it off. So now Jenny and I, once we open this, we could see what the other person was doing. And it doesn't matter what you choose, you just have to communicate that with your audience. If you want to kind of see that y'all are making the same decisions, but not being influenced by each other, you may want the blind on. And some systematic reviews may expect that. And so when you're submitting it to be published, you may have needed to have the blind review on before you even went through the process. So explore where you might publish if that's what your goal is before you even get started, so that you know what you have to do. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, I don't use the translation because I only speak English mostly, broken Spanish a little bit. And then in the other reviews, they first put these up here so that you would have an example that you could dig through. But now we also have some ones here. I thought we had one in here for COVID, but I guess they took that out. But you can see, and if you wanted to use any of these are public reviews. If that's something on your radar, whatever it is that they're looking at, emollients or whatever, you can just open this, and then you would open the review itself, and then you would make a copy of it over here so that you're not impacting their results, but you can still use this information. And I'm just going to go back to my all reviews, and then hopefully most of us are ready to go. If anybody needs me to wait just a second more, because I'm going to start creating a new one, and I would hope that you could model that with me if you wanted to do that. Drop something in the chat or raise your hand and say, wait just a second. If I don't hear any of that, I'm going to move forward. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click a new review, and then I'm going to put in, maybe test here. You could put in whatever. If you're really setting this up for a review that you want to do, you can put that topic in there. You can identify the field that you're going to be using. I mostly am in social sciences, so I'm going to use that. Then you can identify what you're looking at. If you're looking at a meta-analysis or a systematic review, or just your basic literature review in a paper, any of that would be useful here. Except for a literature review in the middle of a paper probably is so small that this tool may not be useful to you, honestly, unless you just wanted to store your citations here for whatever reason. I'm going to go ahead and say systematic review, and then you can say again whatever it is here. Now I can do a description of this. If I had a real topic here, I could say, this is discussing whatever is on topic, and can write as much as I want there. And then I'm going to click create. So now I have a new review. It's labeled test 3. We were just looking at this migration guides that Jenny pointed out to us. There are a few other things here that were not in the original one, and so you could kind of look through that. Although I have to say, these guides are not the most user-friendly. It just is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and unless you know that database a little bit, sometimes it's confusing to find the steps. But if you get stuck, Jenny and I can help you, so feel free to ask us any questions. I'm just going to close that. Again, the RefMan RIS format is a format that citations are formed in for citation managers like EndNote and Zotero, I know use them. Mendeley kind of really just reads the metadata out of the PDF. So it may not have that kind of RIS format reading. But you can get a lot of that out of most of the databases. I haven't come across a database that I can select RIS. And you can do that in Google Scholar too. So the only sad thing about Google Scholar is you can only download one at a time. So it would take a while if you were using only that tool. So now I want to upload some citations here, but I have to find those from a database. I'm just going to go ahead and keep using PubMed. I think that's a pretty general one that most people across campus might use. Since, I don't know, like 2013, 2015, we've had to put any kind of federally funded research has to be published publicly, and they chose PubMed. So I think quite a few people are using that now. So to get to that, I'm just going to get a different tab here. I'm going to leave this all open and get on the library website. If you didn't have this open, you can just type in library.ttu.edu, and that will resolve to the same page. And I just think that's a pretty user-friendly URL, so you can remember. So for me to find PubMed, I'm going to click on databases A to Z. And I'm specifically coming to PubMed through the library so that it will know that I am part of Texas Tech. So I'm going to type in PubMed, and that just is spelled PUBMED if you hadn't used that before. And then I push search, and then I'm going to use the online access, and that will open into PubMed itself. Now, PubMed is on the open web. You can get to it, but if you get to it that way, it will not be provided through Texas Tech. And so any of the articles that you find, if you really look at the article itself instead of just the citations like we're going to do today, it will be asking you to pay for it. But if you come through the library, since you're part of Tech, it will not ask you to pay for that. It knows that you have the credentials to be using that material. Okay, so then I'm just going to do some quick searching here. Maybe we can talk about, I don't know, cancer. Yeah, let's do breast cancer. There we go. And so I have about 2,000, almost 3,000 results here. I definitely would limit by year. The last 5 years, I have that set to always come back. I limit by English. I'm not going to limit by child age here because we're looking at breast cancer. Okay, so then I have a 2018 from 20 to 2013. But look, when I took the children off, then it's a lot. So we might want to add in some additional filters here. Maybe something with oh yeah, let's look at just the sex. Let's see if that will narrow our topic down. Okay, well, that's a lot of results. I don't think you really would want to be moving that over. And I do know that the PubMed will only let you move 1,000 at a time anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this over and get the first 1,000 ready. So to do that, I'm going to click Save. I'm going to say all the results on this page and change that to all results. And it will only let you move 10,000, but I think it will only let you move 1,000 in just a second. So we're going to look at PubMed, and then we're going to create a file. I guess it's going to let you pull it all over. So I'm going to narrow that just a little bit more. Let me see if I can just even do our years and if that would help a little bit. Still quite a bit. I just know that, let's see what the last year gives us. It takes longer. The longer citations you have, the more citations you have in there, the longer it will take. So that still didn't really get us down to as small as I was hoping. I didn't want to really just narrow by article type is the only thing. Let's see what happens. It may take us a little bit longer than we expect, but then I'm going to create this file. And because I'm in Google, Google Chrome, it's going to put it down here. I want to put it in a TXT. Let's see if we can save that in a different way. Maybe it always puts it in TXT. Okay, that's fine. I thought it was in an RIS format. That's why I thought, but TXT will work in Rayyan as well. You see, it's still downloading, so it's going to take a minute. And if you are off campus, it may take you even longer because depending on your connection speed. And then it's going to take us a minute to upload it as well.
I think it's done downloading.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to select the files. So I just click on this here, and then I'm just going to click on here, find the file that I just put up, downloaded, and then I'm going to open it, and then it's going to load it in here. Oh, that's going so much faster than it used to. Took forever. This bar sometimes. And then I'm going to click continue. And then we're going to be into the dashboard. So let's kind of look around here. We probably won't play around here very long because I know that we want to see some of the other features, and this doesn't have 50 decisions made. But as it's pulling it in, it's going to take it a minute to get the items to load in there. We may just let it load in some. We may let it load in a whole bunch. Let's see how long that takes us. Let's see if it will still let us process something while it's downloading all of those articles. I'm going to do detect duplicates, and I recommend that you do this first, only because if you start making choices and different things, then when you click detect duplicates, it will kind of delete what you've done already. So that's one of the first things that you need to do when you get in here, and just click detect duplicates. And then it will say, see, it says this, clear all duplicates resolutions that you've already done. And you say, okay, because I hadn't done anything. And so it's starting to look for those duplicates. And it will take it just a second, I think. We're almost done downloading, so it may have to wait until all of them are there. And then we can kind of look around as we're letting that build. Over here on the left-hand side, it puts in the decisions, and when we get our duplicates, it'll have a box right above that. You can kind of build this however you want. It's looking through all of the information. This is the file that we just pulled in, but it's getting the keywords that need to be included or keywords that are excluded, and you can add to those ones. And as it pulls in everything else, then it'll start to build our word cloud. And if there's any other languages or journals that the articles are from, it will, or authors, it will pull it all over here. And you can kind of use those things to narrow or exclude or include, however you want to do that. Okay, we got that done. It's found 226 duplicates. So you see now it's put in the possible duplicates at the top. You can move these around if you want to. I just usually leave them where they're at. And then here's our decision tree. How many are undecided, how many are included, excluded, all that kind of information. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the duplicates. So now it's pull those up. And so if I click on the first one, I think it's still kind of thinking, because this should not be here. I'm going to give it a second just so that it can kind of figure out what is happening. Okay, and I'm going to click on this. And so we're going to look on unresolved duplicates. And I'm going to click on the first one, and you can see there's a little icon here that says resolve a duplicate. If I click on that, then I can see a citation at the top and a citation at the bottom. And then I just want to make sure either they're the same or they're not. And it looks like these are pretty close. They have one slightly different issue number there, I guess. And let's see. However, I can already see this is a comment and a letter, so I wouldn't want to include this, so it's not a big issue. But if you can say the percentage of duplication, you can say, yep, it's a duplicate. Or if you say if it is one that you don't need, then you just delete whichever one is the most filled out or the least filled out. So here we can see that this is the author's reply. So maybe this is a letter that was posted and this is the author's reply. So they're actually not duplicates, but we don't want this one anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I will say a not duplicate because this is the author's reply to a question that was asked maybe in something. So I'm going to say not duplicate, and it's going to make a choice. But now I know I don't necessarily need this because it's just a letter. It's not even an article. It's probably one-page comment on this. So I'm going to exclude that. And then I can look at the reasons, and that could be like a background article or the wrong drug or the wrong outcome, population. These are all set for you, and you can identify those and use them if you need to or want to. If you want to create a new label, like, and this is I can say like, this is a letter, not a journal article. I can just type in this this label box and say letter, not journal, and say, okay. And then I can add that. Oop. And say, add that here. Well, why is that not adding? It should. Or maybe I have to click here, sorry. And so then I can have those there. So the AI really will respond to the exclude and the include and the reasons, but not to labels. These are just things that you are identifying, and maybe those are things that you and your team have decided to identify why that is there or not there, or what you're labeling that for. This could be a positive, not necessarily a negative. So then we can just go ahead and go on down, look at the next one. Let's see if we can resolve this duplicate. Let's see if we find one that is pretty close. Oh, these maybe not even be really close. Yeah, oh no, the authors are the same. And the journal is the same. The page numbers are different. So I would have to decide which one I wanted to keep here and which one I didn't. So this must have some kind of, it's just the abstract. So I'm going to say delete this one, and I would keep this one. But then I could also decide if I wanted to include this or not include this. And it will kind of highlight things that it thinks it should be included or excluded. So anything that is highlighted in red is excluded. Anything that's highlighted in green would be included. Let's see if we can find something that's highlighted in green real quick. We might just need to be in the undecided. So I need to clear this first. That's one thing I don't like about this system. You have to clear whatever you've kind of narrowed down to that little pot, because it will, let's see if anything is being included. Maybe not so much yet because we haven't done so much inclusion. But if I was really looking at something for breast cancer here, I would go ahead and add a keyword of breast cancer, and then we could see that be highlighted. And you can see that, you know, quite a bit of them do include this term. And so then now we should be able to see that highlighted. And then I could dig through here a little bit easier, finding what I'm looking for, or if there's a specific drug that I'm looking at, or a specific type of breast cancer that I'm looking at, whatever is pivotal in your research. Those are the things that you should be adding in the include. And anything that you don't want to, let's say I was looking at, you know, diet, and I wanted to see how insulin was working. Well, you're going to find a lot of information on pigs and humans because we kind of operate very much alike. And in fact, that's why they test on pigs sometimes first. But if I didn't want to look at anything with pigs, then I would take pigs and put it in the exclude. So I could just add that word here, see if we find anything, but I don't think we will. Or even piglet, sometimes that's used more commonly. And let's see here. What? I must have not said okay. Maybe it's so far down or there's nothing there. It might be in the more. Let me see if it's in the more. Yeah. So there's no ones here that would include that. So that's why that was not the best example, but we could still see it. Okay, so you can see our labels are setting up over here. I can add any other kind of label and see if I wanted to see breastfeeding, because I can see that is what is talking about here. Maybe why having cancer, and you can see that there. And I think it will just take a little bit of time for that word cloud and other things to come in. It's still kind of processing that information. Let me just go ahead and get back up here to the undecided, and I'm going to clear out anything that is added, since I'm looking at the undecided only now. And let's see if I can start adding in some of these. Excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze. You think with all the snow there can't be any allergies out there, but goodness.
Bless you.
Thank you. Okay, so now you can see that here's my green, and if I was not sure about something, maybe like this, I could say maybe, and if I was not wanting it, I would say exclude, and then you could see the several indicators there. If I was sharing this with somebody else, we could see Jenny adding those in as well. Let's do, if we're going to exclude something, let's say that there's a reason why, maybe the wrong population, and then you can see that there. So you can see, start to see these tags be in the columns and whoever's making choices there. And finally, you can add a little note. I'm just going to grab another one so we can see that, and I can make a note here. Whatever I want to add, I could add something that I want to put this in the lit review or in my methodology, or if it's a systematic review, make sure it's at the top of the review, because a lot of people referenced it. However you want to make a note, or maybe you're making a note to yourself or to the whole team, and then you just click save. And then this little icon will be sitting here, but you can also see that note down here at the bottom of that citation. And so then that is really useful, so that you don't have to click open each time, but you would have to click on that citation to find it, of course. And then that way you can make another note saying, oh, we resolved this, we understood what happened, whatever you want to make a note there, and then you could delete it if you needed to. Okay, so that is just some basics here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go back and pull up one that we have been making some choices in, so that y'all can see the advantages of the AI for us. So let's see, let's get into this one here. I know y'all don't have that, but you can at least watch that with us. Now you can see some more information here. So let's kind of look at this column that gives us some more information. We have the keywords include, exclude. I have made 50 decisions here so that we can see that. We have those here. And again, you can just move those around however you want those to be stored. And I just dropped it to the bottom. I'm going to pull it to the top. Let's see if it gets it there. Did not get it there. I don't know why it won't move up there. But so here we can see we've still have 51 undecided. We've included 36. We've excluded 15. We do have some Let me clear that out. Some more clouds here. So if I wanted to look at just the topic of the body weight, I could click on that. It would bring up those and I could look at those. If I wanted to look and see where they're coming from, I have to remember to clear this one so that I can see all of them from Germany, let's say. Because if I had a body weight one here, now it's only finding the body weight and what's from Germany. That's what is in this box now. So you have to make sure you are clearing all your topics. I mean, any box that you put up here. So if you say only the undecided and only from Brazil, let's say this time, and you wanted to see what was in the body weight, you could end up being with nothing because it has too many limiters there. So just be remembering to clear that. And if you think that this is not right in the center, go and make sure that there's no clear options over here. And then you can see that. Okay, so the other thing that I thought we might talk about is once we've looked at all the one of the first things I do is always look at the duplicates, and then I kind of take those out. And then you kind of have that resolved. Then you make sure you try to do your 50 decisions, and then you can click on the computer ratings, and new ratings are being calculated. And so then it takes it just a second, but then it'll say, oh, they're ready. And then you can click on that. And then it will show you this out to the side. I've already run it in here once. And this is what it shows the computer ratings on a scale, on a 5-star scale. So if it thinks it should really be included, it's going to have a higher rating of the green. If it's not sure, it'll be kind of in the middle. And then if it thinks it shouldn't be, it would be at the bottom. And let's see if we can see those being calculated. I was really hoping that would kind of, there's only 92 articles in here, so that helps it go a little bit faster. Let's see if it will kind of get those done. We may not have made any choices since I ran the last ones. Let's kind of look around in here. So if you have your tag here, you've already made a choice on that article, it's not going to rate it. So then this one's kind of in the middle, but I thought as I was looking through here, so this one for sure, ooh, from what I've identified over here, it doesn't think it should be included. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and say exclude. And so the more you can give it, the more likely it will give you some better ratings. Let's see if that finishes up pretty soon. And then we can kind of look at that again. It may take it longer than I expected it to. While we're kind of waiting on that, I forgot to cover how to include a PDF. You would just get that PDF from the database if you wanted to, and you wanted to include it here. I don't think it's necessary that you need the PDFs here, especially if you're combining this tool with like EndNote or Zotero or Mendeley. You can always use that citation tool, and it would be beneficial for you to include the PDFs there. I would just open that, and if I needed to read more than just this abstract to kind of get an idea of what I wanted to include or not include for whatever reason, maybe all the information's okay. So now it just changed to new rating available, but let me just finish my thought and we'll look at those. So maybe when you get down to just a few left, you're like, I'm not sure about this just from reading the abstract, and you might want to look at the whole PDF. I don't think I would take the time to include them here, although you can. All you have to do is click on it and then attach the PDF here, and it would be attached to this article, this citation, and it would store it down here at the bottom. And then it would have a PDF icon over here on the side, so you would know that that was there. What I was saying is I would just use that from my citation management tool like Zotero or EndNote, because there's no sense in me uploading and storing them in both places. I can just dig it out over there. And that place, the citation manager will be a better place to store it. Because I think you have a limited amount that you can store here. And EndNote and Zotero will allow you to store quite a bit, a lot more than Rayyan. So, okay, so now that we've calculated them and we can see new ratings available, if I click on here, it will let us see those. Let me make sure I have all my things cleared, because I think I might have one here. And it might just let us see where we're looking at with our stars. And we can see those a little bit. So you can look at each one of these. Now, I have to be honest, when I'm in here digging out these 50, I don't do it always as practical as I would if it was really research that I was going to use an example. So I think that would help make these a little bit better. And that's why I thought we might look at one other that I have been using for some library research, and then we can see if it helps the ratings just be a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to all reviews, unless anybody has any questions. I'm going to see, I think there's something in chat.
That was me. I was
Okay.
saying if they have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat.
All right, thanks. I'm going to go back to the all reviews here and pull up this one for user experience. And so you can see, this is just 1,000, so that helps a lot. We have done some resolution, but I hadn't done everything because I thought we might do some together with our duplicates. So I would go ahead and click on this and resolve it and then decide. Let's see. Oh, there's multiple ones here. We'd have to double check. Okay, so these are different ones. They're different journals. So these are not duplicates. So I could say not duplicate and it would separate them out. And so then we can see that, and then it would put it in there and we can keep looking at that. Some things that I've excluded for reasons is the foreign language here. So let me clear here. So you can see that is there, or wrong population. And then we have our topics one, and then our decisions. And I think we just need to make a few more. And I think I might use a keyword here. I had put in library and user experience. Let's see if we have everything in our user experience sorted. I don't think so. So I think I just am down to a few decisions here. Let me see. So this one I definitely don't want to look at. I'm looking at academic libraries. And so I would click on this and say exclude. Let's see if we can think of this. This might be useful, especially if it's in an academic library. So I include that. And let's see. This is not the population I want, so I'm going to exclude that and say reason, wrong population. Let's see if we can find anything else real quick. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, and let's see if I can, maybe I need quite a few more than I thought I did. I'm going to go ahead and run the computer ratings and it will tell me, oh, I need 8 more decisions. So let me see. I think this is a no, so I'm going to say no to that. All right. Let's look at that. That looks good. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. I think we should be, oh, maybe one more. Well, I say no to that. Oh, let's look at that. Okay, so I'm still looking here. Let's see what we got. So the new ratings are being calculated, and we'll see what happens. It will take just a minute, but then this is a time when we will see the stars come up totally. So that'll be useful to see how that works. I'm gonna just pull us to the top again. Okay. I think it's getting close because whenever it flashes like that, it usually is getting down to the wire. Okay, here they are. So let's go ahead and look at that. And then we can see them populate here. And let's see if we can dig through here just a little bit more and see if there's anything that's great. I see a lot in the middle. And as you make more choices, of course, you can always run them again and then they will do better. But I think especially there's 1,000 in here. So we haven't even touched, quite a few. So I think also giving it some more inclusion as well would be useful. Let's see, because we only have included 34 and we've excluded 17. So I think maybe even doing that would let it see. I just thought we might see something populate a little bit better here, since I kind of dug through there a little bit more, less haphazardly is what I would say. So okay, so that is a little bit about how you would use this tool. And then once you found the items that you were going to include, then you could start to analyze those papers themselves and then kind of write that up into your systematic review. The other thing is, if there's people that want us to look at Google Scholar, which is slightly different how you would pull that in, because you would be doing so few at a time, we could do that. Or if there's any questions that we might have today, we can go ahead and look at that. Or if we wanted to look at one of the other reviews again, the one we all pulled in together and kind of work through that a little bit more, we can do that as well. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions? Okay, well then, okay, I see that. Thanks, Stella. That was nice of you. I know you have to play around with this tool a little bit to kind of make it be an advantage for you. And I do think it would be an advantage if you're digging through like 1,000 articles or 500 even. I think it will be useful. So, but it does take a minute to get it all set up and get it going. And I would say you can, once you've included the ones that you want, you can export these back into EndNote or Zotero. And then that way you would only have the ones that you were really including. And that would be nice. So that when you started to do your citations in your paper, you could. So yeah, I do see one in here. So you would use this export. So you can click on the export And then you could say whatever you're going to want to include. Include user notes, include exclusion notes. I'm not going to include exclusion notes, include decisions. So, I mean, just depends on what you want to include here. And then you could, it would have first and last, and it would have, so the RefMint is the RIS one. Bib text, if you happen to be using big text, you would do that. If you're in Zotero, it would be the RIS format. You would click on that. And let's see what else I would maybe. I would hope that you could only include that. So it looks like it's going to bring everything over. But it would have the decision there so you would know what was included and what was excluded. So that would be good. So I'm going to click on that. Although I don't have Zotero on my desktop to pull it in, but once I clicked on this, it's going to create an email, and then it will download the link. And so we can wait for that to send to my email if we want, and then you would be able to, yep, here it is already. I'm going to close that, and I'll drag that over and see if we can't see that together. Just give me a second to get it out there. I'm hoping everybody can see the email, and then it would just say, okay, here it is. I don't see the link above that it's telling me about. Let me see all that. Oh, here, I missed it totally. So I'm going to click on that. Oh, it's going to get blocked by security on campus, but just give it a second because it probably just doesn't know this tool, and then it will let you download it, and you would be able to pull that file into your EndNote or Zotero. So it would download it into your browser again and be able to import that into whichever tool you're using. And I know Zotero uses RIS, so I think you would be fine there to pull that straight in. And I think you have to kind of refresh this to see if it works, if it's ready. Oh, there it goes. It's coming down here now. Did y'all see that? I just refreshed it to see if it's being okay. And then I think it's all because it's zipped. I'm just gonna double click on that. Sorry, now put it in a window over here, and then I can see the articles, or you can have the log as well. And so I could pull this into my EndNote. Because I say EndNote because that's what I have on my desktop, but I don't have Zotero, but I could move that into Zotero if I needed that. Great question. Anybody else have any other good questions? And we kind of worked through some of the issues there. Okay, if nobody has any other questions, we'll be happy to send out the file we recorded, and then you should be able to report this to the graduate school by using the link we had dropped in there before. And oh, I'm sorry, that's the whole list. Let me just grab the right one. And if you get stuck on anything, please reach out to Jenny or I. We'd be happy to help you.